My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state.
All right, this is documenting psychopathic pacing. And this is where these are demons, first of all. And second of all, this is a state actor. The Ontario International Airport, the Ontario Board, that is the Ontario Executive Team, are engaged in domestic terrorism. And this is relevant to the program of psychological torture and harassment. And Leonida Builders Incorporated, these are demons as well. They're stalking in the path with light. These are demons that are stalking in the path with light in concert with the corrupt companies such as Leonida. They're driving under the fake sun that's still over me in the same parking lot at 11, 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening. The entity is engaging in what is psychopathic pacing, doing so using commercial planes, flying over where I'm at, ARCO at 434 North Euclid Avenue. ARCO and Chevron are engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct 9TIH 520, and Balbeer at Chevron is engaged in targeting Starbucks. The entity is engaging in what is maintaining serial flight here second by second by second. And I'm looking at your airport that is publishing flights 7:15 and the next at 7:35 a.m. And I'm documenting about every 25 to 35 seconds another flight hovering as well. Another indication of targeting. You're not taking off from the airport, hovering over the downtown luxury apartments, engaging in U-turns. That's CEASELESS Regis that's going to be prosecuted in concert with the people of the state of California, the city of Ontario that's engaged in gang stalking. And the same demonic pattern of conduct, the Ontario International Airport centers around my vagina. That's a sex offender and a terrorist that's engaging in what is the is a co-conspirator to murder. Conspiring murder is that which is executed while the government engages in what is gang stalking you, targeting you, and having no legitimate interest in doing so. Stalking using commercial planes and helicopters is within the pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. It's 7:14 a.m. as I am on Euclid Avenue and F Street at Bethel Congregation. This is where the entity, demons, were stalking me using commercial planes yesterday afternoon. As I'm documenting the day before that, in the Stater Brothers parking lot at Ontario Village Shopping Center, where the entity had the fake sun in the same city. At 12 o'clock, Ontario Police Department gang stalking, doing so at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2:37 p.m. 3 in the afternoon, the entity has this fake sun that's still in the city of Ontario, west of this location, and you're recognizing targeting by the airport that's never taking off. They're hovering in the sky space where I'm located, the specific environment, and the stalking behavioral pattern by the people is indicating, and it's the prosecution of that corrupt airport. This is demonic activity, and it's also prosecution of what is terrorism. And the demonic nature of this stalking system is what is making domestic terrorism. This is P.O.C. They're driving an engineered light. Okay, the entities engaged in this pattern of conduct as a population, sharing and stalking. 7 VVP 628. This is P.O.C. All right, this is not a takeoff, and it's also not a flight that's headed toward a particular destination. They're engaged in what is audible activity. They're engaged in monitoring on communication devices. They're facilitating gang stalking with the people of the state, including Leonida Builders, Inc., and they're doing so with knowledge that is being documented. This is the shutdown of the Ontario International Airport. This is P.O.C. It is 7:15 a.m. The flight that's published on the website is not this flight that's engaging in a U-turn over CEASELESS Regis downtown luxury apartments. The same apartment complex where the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking, flying over this same apartment building at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, where the sun's not going to be in a natural environment over the top of my head like I'm documenting. These are demons that are engaging in stalking as I'm prosecuting. Understand that those are demon-possessed criminals as well, and that's relevant to the prosecution and diagnosing mental illness of those that are engaging in the P.O.C. All right, this is ARCO 434 North Euclid Avenue. Alrighty, this is the 320 North Euclid Avenue parking garage. That's called Crossing Path and Engineer Light. Gang stalking in concert with the city of Ontario. The demons that you'll see in the images under the fake sun at the same entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library where it is at 10 a.m. Those are demons surrounding with light activity around the perimeter while I'm documenting the masses of cockroaches who are the demon-possessed gang stalking in this here engineer light where my shadow's moving above my head and on the ground into the depths of a structure where the sun is not so low that it's shooting light like a laser as well. And it's also not going to be over the same 5 East C Street OVITT Family Community Library. This breaking down the illusion. It's in the same position over me while I'm standing at this entrance right outside of this parking garage. City of Ontario, surrounding with utility vehicles, surrounding with dumpster trucks, Leonida Builders using tractors, using their vehicles as light activity, while the entity at what is another venue, CEASELESS Regis Group, engaging this is entirely demonic. It's impossible light activity. These are demons that are stalking in the path, not charging their vehicles protected under the law whatsoever. This is the placement of light pursuant to criminal surveillance, which I'm walking through. That's a molestation, and this is criminal facilitation. 6 UAU 994, and CEASELESS Regis Group is going to be prosecuted for targeting with the city of Ontario, the state of California, a co-conspirator of murder. And that's a demon-possessed person is what you need to know, and they're specifically knowledgeable about my presence engaged in gang stalking with the state. P.O.C. They're also monitoring my vagina with that same knowledge, not coincidentally getting out of the car, looking exactly in my direction, and engineered light. P.O.C. All right, this is the entity that's engaged in surveillance. They're not strangers. The CEASELESS Regis Group is going to be prosecuted, and this is the evidence of criminal surveillance by a population conspiring murder. POC.
Alrighty, this is the illusion that I'm speaking to that is being shattered as exposing, first of all, the demon-possessed who are engaging in what is criminal conduct that is to be recognized under federal law, and it's domestic terrorism in substance when understanding what the government is doing, and you can clearly understand it and also place it in its proper context with regard to recognizing the malice of a government that's engaging in targeting an American citizen, doing so through a population that shares the condition. These are demons that are not ignorantly in an environment where the fake sun is not only in alignment to me, it is over the same Sarah's Regis downtown luxury apartments that it is when I'm standing at this same parking lot at 12:49 in the afternoon. And the stalker, that is the Ontario International Airport, every airline, not just the demon flying that particular plane. The entity is acting as one. That's not an individual, that's an entity. That's a cockroach that makes up an infestation of what's engaging in the same exact pattern of conduct. Everybody in that apartment building is gang stalking, just like I'm showing you inside of the parking garage where you have impossible light activity. You're not ignorantly under the fake sun. You're not ignorantly in engineer light. You're not ignorantly stalking with impossible light while you're driving your car. You're not engaging in what is facilitation and stalking to the path like this. These are demons, and their lack of self-control is the exposure nationwide and a prosecution, a body of evidence, and federal legislation to surround them with laws when they're conspiring murder of American citizens, because that's what the city of Ontario is doing. And the people of the state are in the shoes of the government. These are not private citizens. These are domestic terrorists. All right. And that's by the substance of what they are doing. And as they sought to exploit the Constitution and enjoy the rights of private citizens that are not conspiring murder and targeting American citizens in the shoes of the government, facilitating that system by the government. You're not enjoying any constitutional rights in doing that. You are the public entity, and this is the entity that's under the same fake sun. And I will refer you to that video on YouTube. I'll be publishing it, and it'll be the related content. 12:49 p.m. Ontario International Airport stalking, because that's what you're doing under the fake sun. All right, the fake sun, that's over again. It's 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 to 11, 12:49 p.m. The sun is not going to be in the same city, same parking lot, same position, same person. Okay, and that's speaking to targeting by the entire city of Ontario, which is the statewide P.O.C. These are demons that are obsessed with my vagina. Understand, the gang stalkers are violent sex offenders, they're pedophiles, they're serial killers, they're kidnappers. They sit in court and bear false witness to set up American citizens who are not guilty of crimes that they've been that they've been accused of, and placed in facilities against their will, their property stolen from them when they are defamed by the entity that wants to steal their identity and steal their property. This is mandating that the laws change in this country, state and federal, because of the state surveillance that is hereby being exposed. And the entity is going to be subject to a strip down. Ontario is going to be gutted out. That's not an Ontario International Airport is not an airport. It's a terrorist. The police department is not a police department. It's a terrorist. It's kidnappers, and those are murderers. And they're co-conspiring murder while they're gang stalking with psychopaths that stalk with impossible light moving across the wall. And that's somebody that knows you by virtue of the environment and their psychopathic conduct of stalking with light all across the wall while a psychopath looks to the left and right like they don't know you. That's the malice of gang stalking. Never again will this system be used to defame anyone. In fact, you cannot defame anyone's character or assess mental illness on the surface, since the government is engaged in surveillance, since the government is engaged in what is targeting American citizens, which I'm exposing is not the practice of medicine in the first place. This is P.O.C. Would you like something to eat? Why are you approaching me again?
Just checking to see you're okay.
Did I call you and ask you?
You don't have to.
Yeah, I did not, and I would not, and I have not.
Okay. Anyway,
so the conversation yesterday led you to the reasonable conclusion that maybe you shouldn't be.
It wasn't yesterday.
Or the other day when you came and approached me out of nowhere at ARCO as well? Did that conversation go well?
It's a public.
That's not the point. Did that conversation go well? Was I talking to you on that day?
Do you want your jeans?
Was I talking to you on that day?
Do you want your jeans?
No, I was not. It's the same pattern of conduct. It doesn't change amongst the city of Ontario. These two are engaged in ongoing threatening conduct, following, stalking like everybody else. I just know these two demons' names. Okay? Frowning and stating whatever it is you while you're stalking me. You're the one that wants to call the police and lie, and you're still stalking. Nobody is talking to you. Nobody's calling you. You're going to prison. You're going to federal prison. And what you're not talking about is how there's a pending criminal case and how you try to steal my identity and you stole my money. That's why you're following me around. You're going to prison. Laughing about it doesn't make you look sane. That's P.O.C. That's the entity that's stalking with the city of Ontario. That's what Tracy and Eric are not talking about.
while they're following me around everywhere, while they're being documented and being prosecuted, while the city of Ontario is gang stalking under a fake sun, those are demons that are gang stalking under a fake sun. Okay? Not engaged in anything that is helpful while she's calling the police. Those two committed kidnapping with the Ontario Police Department. They're at the same location in the specific environment. By the way, where the entity is keeping the fake sun over Tracy Banks' apartment, that's not what this is. It's not over Woodside Senior Apartment. Speaking of Tracy Banks targeting me in furtherance of murder in concert with her gang stalking son. They're engaging in the pattern of conduct on video. Doing so under the guise, oh, do you want something? Leonidas stalking in the path with light, 72478Y3. Gang stalking with the city of Ontario. This sex offender going from in the parking garage stalking with light to hurrying up and putting his vehicle right back out here. That's the same mental illness borne by a demon-possessed gang stalking third party whose name you know. Severely mentally ill, a population stalking with impossible light activity while they're targeting you, engaging in that P.O.C, and Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer again engaging in that pattern of conduct like I documented, if not 24, 48 hours ago while I'm at this ARCO, and the entity's trying to cover up the fake sun. That's exact same pattern of conduct that I'm speaking to, including Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer is speaking to what is the statewide pattern of conduct. They're going to federal prison. The entities engaging in that same P.O.C, including those two. I want to be clear. This is what the entity sought to defame the character of an American citizen with, and that is speaking to the necessity of changing legislation. That's the malice of a government that is not under any circumstances changing the substance of the evidence of clear targeting. Targeting that is committed in furtherance of murder. And Eric Spencer and Tracy Banks have shown how cold-blooded, how bloodthirsty they are, especially with regard to the unsupported and unsubstantiated defamation that they've committed. They're going to prison for that. In addition to being one of familial status, while you're targeting with the government does that in order to make sure that they can kidnap and also get away with targeting you, defaming your character in order to accomplish the kidnapping. When they're gang stalking with the demons whose names you don't need to know. Stalking under the fake sun, and it is stalking by the entity whose name you know. It's the state's pattern of conduct. The state is the one maintaining that environment. The state is the one maintaining planes and helicopters. The state is the one that's engaging in what is acting through a whole population. Whether Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer are in that apartment building or not, it is the P.O.C. For them to come and engage in it on video, it's the same legal analysis, and the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking the same, while they are doing so with Tracy Banks and Eric, co-conspirators of murder, P.O.C. It is currently 8:10 a.m. The fake sun is still here, and Ontario International Airport's gang stalking, just like this Route 66 car show. The food festival, 6 p.m. The Ontario International Airport gang stalking, the Ontario Police Department, the same Euclid Avenue. This is the entity that has the fake sun over me on this same street. This is P.O.C. 10:15 a.m. This is documentation of the demons who you see gang stalking, engaging in what is surveillance regarding the evidence of them gang stalking me in furtherance of murder. And this is where they are committing what is sexual violence upon the ongoing same exact P.O.C. of stalking with planes. At 10:15 a.m. you'll see the evidence that I'm moving back into folder October 15, 2025. Seconds later, as I resume uploading the evidence back into the file, this is the state interfering with its federal investigation and prosecution, by the way. The demon-possessed are engaged in what is molesting my person with light. They're doing so on surveillance cameras at ARCO at 434 North Euclid Avenue. Impossible light activity is molesting my body. Sex offenders are engaging in what is stalking with light and audible activity at the intersection, while the entity is stalking in a smaller government plane flying over CHEVRON, who is gang stalking. Balbir is the third party that is subject to very likely deportation, engaging in this criminal conduct with the city of Ontario that is in relevant position, engaging in what is being a patron in order to target under the fake sun that's still over the same ARCO that it was this morning at 7:02 a.m. I'm at the same ARCO, and the entity is engaged in what is molestation, the sexual assault and battery under the fake sun, while you are engaged in monitoring on devices on the internet pursuant to criminal activity that you're engaged in and that you are seeking to obstruct justice for exposure. 8MHT369 shares in the same exact sex offense, engaged in what the co-defendant that left the property engaged in. That is not a coincidence. That's the pattern of conduct of demons who are state actors, and that's what Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer are in this environment under the fake sun that's been here since 7 a.m. and it's still over me. And by the way, it's not over the OVITT Family Community Library. This removal of evidence from the folders that are published onto the internet for the world to witness the public investigation, which is relevant to federal charges for kidnappers. For example, the kidnappers of the Ontario International Airport, the kidnappers of the Ontario Police Department, the kidnappers of the Ontario Fire Department and AMR. and the kidnappers of Starbucks, the kidnappers of Economy Inn, the kidnappers of OVITT Family Community Library. This is relevant to those that are engaged in this conduct. That's a threat to your liberty. They engage in kidnapping and murder as an entity. That's why they're gang stalking, and they do so with real-time knowledge. That's what's getting to the level of malice and the level of determination to commit murder and kidnapping. This is speaking to obstruction, which the government is engaging with the people of the state, and that includes ARCO, 434 North Euclid Avenue, co-conspirator of murder; Chevron, 506 North Euclid Avenue, co-conspirator of murder; Starbucks, 507 North Euclid Avenue, co-conspirator of murder; Downtown Luxury Apartments, that's Saris Regis Group, 320 North Euclid Avenue, co-conspirator of murder. The entities engaging in this with the people of the state, who are necessarily maintaining presence, and doing so while the government maintains aerial surveillance. The government maintains vicarious presence through all the demons who I'm documenting their license plates. They're all under a fake sun. They're all engaging in things such as what the demons driving the large truck, he stops in the middle of the street. This is a co-conspirator of murder. Engaging in the demonic pattern of conduct is that entity that's conspiring to murder the targeted individual. Molesting the person with impossible light is the demon that engages in that, conspiring to commit murder as an entity. Engaging in that as a business, that's ARCO. Every demon that leaves their credit card number, they're on surveillance cameras, they're filling up their gas tank. They committed what is engaged in the criminal act of co-conspiring murder this morning, as I'm documenting the city of Ontario, the state, that's engaging in gang stalking. And all Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer did was come and show their face to show how maliciously they have been and are still engaged in what is conspiring my murder, seeking to criminally defame while gang stalking with the people of the state, which, as I've shown and the P.O.C. proves, is no basis to ever defame any American citizen, remove them from the ability to fully exercise control over their property, which you maintain a due process right, even outside of the gang stalking system, will never make legitimate what this entity, Eric Spencer, Tracy Banks, Tommy Allen Banks, every other third party, mysterious actors, and what are mysterious court cases regarding my property that Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer are not speaking about, when they're continuously stalking, as I'm documenting on video, threatening my life, doing so with the city of Ontario. The ones with whom they've kidnapped me. And all you're hearing is their audible activity. Do you want something to eat? Like I'm asking them to give me. I haven't asked them anything, and neither do I need them to. That's the effort to impliedly criminally defame. All of it is pursuant to gang stalking. Asking me, do I want something to eat under the fake sun, is malice. It's also relevant to what is criminal defamation. I don't need any of them to give me anything to eat. This is an economic status that this entity, including Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer, created by gang stalking me in the first place. Look at my 2004 documentation of being gang stalked at work by LAPD, sharing the same exact pattern of conduct, where this could not possibly be the sun, over Downtown Luxury Apartments, as I'm capturing at 8:06 a.m. while I'm at work at Alvarado Gardens at 1810 North Alvarado Street, at building my leasing office in between building 1808 and 1810, and that fake sun is directly over my office, and it never leaves. I clock out at 5 p.m. and that fake sun is still there on what is the east side of my office door, where it's on the west side of my office door in the morning. The same exact P.O.C. that Saris Regis Group is going to be prosecuted for. Conspiring my murder. Gang stalking as the city of Ontario. Gang stalking as the city of Los Angeles in the workplace. Coming and asking me, do I want something to eat, is malice. And by the way, I have plenty to get something to eat. And the demons that are keeping me under surveillance also know that. They're monitoring my credit cards, my bank accounts. I've documented all these angles of the P.O.C., and they're engaging in that while they're conspiring murder and removing the evidence. That's speaking to malice. Engaging in what is removing the evidence from the file on the internet, where this entity is engaged in ongoing criminal monitoring with the demons of the Ontario International Airport and the city of Ontario, that's maintaining smaller planes, as I'm documenting the same exact aerial surveillance, criminal surveillance committed in furtherance of murder, ongoing surveillance, okay? The people of the state are sharing in that while I'm being molested with impossible light, and you know what that is. There are thousands of videos for you to refer to. What is directed light? What is engineered light? They're monitoring online while they know they are being documented, conspiring the murder of the person that they're gang stalking. It does not get any more threatening than that. The people of the state are going to prison for kidnapping, for criminal summoning, facilitating kidnapping, for criminal defamation, which is facilitation of kidnapping by the entity, and doing so while seeking to obstruct justice, which is exactly what this is relevant to. Title 18, Federal Stalking Statute, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2. License TVW 575, 7XMC296, 7CRB 978, 8VAZ 998. License 7HV7211. The same exact conduct driving on the street. I'm being molested dozens and dozens of times while impossible light moves north up Euclid Avenue, while these demons are crossing path on Euclid Avenue under the fake sun. Like I've shown you at the sunrise, while I'm at 415 North Euclid Avenue, where I'm at 37 North Euclid Avenue. That's what they're doing on the opposite side of the street, where the fake sun is hitting what is the passenger side of their vehicle, and they are hitting me with impossible light while they're engaged in monitoring, and that's what demons are doing. And demons are doing so in the name of businesses, which are going to be prosecuted for what they are engaging, what the demons operating those businesses are engaging in. Civil and criminal prosecution for the conspiracy of murder while they are gang stalking. Public corruption underway. Public corruption that is serving murder, organized crime, serving sexual violence, the perpetual sex offense, while demons want to touch you in ridiculous and psychologically harmful manners while they're engaging in surveillance. That's P.O.C. This is what every business, the city of Ontario is, the state is sharing in that, but I am specifically at the intersection of Euclid and E, and that is not going to have the sun over the entrance, and that's exactly where you see it's not placed. This is the same pattern of conduct that OVITT Family Community Library is practicing. I take screenshots, I show you the evidence where they're monitoring online, removing images that they don't want you to see from the folder, and so that it's removed from public view, and I put it right back, and those demons are molesting me with light. Psychopaths like Mickey pacing in and out of the administrative office door, stalking with noise, while demons, the same ones, maintaining aerial surveillance. That's what they do when they go inside of the bathroom, stalking me and monitoring my vagina. Those sex offenders are outside as a population, keeping me under surveillance under a fake sun. That is not in conformity to what is a natural environment. That is in conformity to the pattern of conduct under the fake sun that's over the parking lot in between Sarah's Regis downtown Ontario luxury apartments and ARCO at 434 North Euclid Avenue, where you will see the fake sun from 6:58 7:02 a.m. It is 10:15 in the morning. Right now it is 10:24 a.m. And by the way, I am in Upland, California, getting off of Route 66 after going to Chino, after going to Montclair, where the entity kept the fake sun over the Montclair Transit Center, which is not over this parking lot. It's not going to be reflecting off of the demons' vehicles in this parking lot. It's not going to cause any sunlight, no matter where the fake sun is or in a natural environment where you are under the sun. None of this light activity is ever occurring. That's speaking to the entity that's conspiring murder, because that's the purpose of a government gang stalk you, like 9DOR 911 is. On the roads and the highways, federal stalking. P.O.C. It's currently 10:24. The government's going to be prosecuted for not only criminal monitoring, which is demonic. It's pursuant to criminal surveillance, federal stalking under that statute. It's committed in furtherance of murder. So it is not just surveillance alone, it is the conspiracy to commit murder and kidnapping, which this government has already committed, attempted murder, and attempted murder is underway. They are acting in furtherance of the conspiracy to commit murder while they are still gang stalking, using the Ontario International Airport, using the corrupt departments in the city of Ontario, using every business, using the population, while they're all in an environment where the government has no warrant or probable cause to maliciously engage in it. And this is the exploitation of the Constitution while they're engaged in criminal conduct in plain view. It is public corruption that is serving murder and kidnapping by a government. And Eric Spencer and Tracy Banks, again, stalking today, comes and shows their face, showing the federal court where they belong, like I stated at the outset, which is federal prison. P.O.C. License 8JXH131, 5BJT378. ETH 649. Ontario International Airport, stalking with plane activity, O Park, license 9VHS 852. Just like the handyman, crossing paths with the entity stalking with planes at the same location. That's audible noise. These demons are monitoring. License 24978D3, so is Sarah's Regis. Sarah's Regis is gang stalking with the airport. 93995U2, 9NQJ123. License 07D0JF, that's Florida. 6UUN014. These are all co-conspirators of murder, including O Park, the company, Leonida Builders Incorporated, gang stalking with Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer. Understand they're engaged in what is communicating a threat with regard to when your family is gang stalking, your friends and family are gang stalking. Those are the ones that also sit in court and claim that you're mentally ill and that you should be kept in a facility against your will. That regardless of what you state, that those are the ones with your best interest in mind, and that the government should listen to them, the government that's targeting you. This is the the entity that's conspiring against the American citizen together. 8SXR 982. That's how you're understanding the substance of what Leonida Builders Incorporated is doing under the fake sun with the Ontario International Airport, creating light activity, stalking in the path right in my face, and those demons that are very likely subject to deportation are doing so with knowledge of documentation. 9NQW900, which is not only relevant to what is targeting a federal prosecutor in their case, but is relevant to the sentiments that they hold within this country. And you need to understand that these are terrorists of the United States, and they are in this country engaging in what are terrorizing with the government, murdering American citizens, violating their constitutional rights, their human rights. 8BDF175. And companies like Leonida Builders Incorporated, license 8LOP174, they are speaking to what the entire state of California is engaged in. 8MKW091, 8FVP854, 8FVP854. License 7S VR756. This is speaking to what is, pervasive mental illness. All right, these are demons that are gang stalking, and it's also a population of cowards, a population of psychopaths who are hostile while you expose their secrets, like monitoring my vagina, and then they're angry about it. 7JXB937, but they are literally, as a matter of scientific fact, under a fake sun, molesting with what is not even real light, speaking to what is it that you're doing, and what are you doing in that bathroom while you're doing it. 5MLR008, what are you doing while the government's maintaining presence around me in planes and helicopters while you're in places like the bathroom, where that pattern of conduct doesn't stop. 22598N3. Omnitrans, co-conspirator of murder, where the fake sun remained over me at Sarah's Regis Group, downtown luxury apartments, and ARCO and Chevron right here. There's no sun that's going to be moving from city to city while I'm aboard Omnitrans. Not Route 83, not Route 84, not Route 66. It's not going to be over the Montclair Transit Center, but for Omnitrans being another participant in what is a statewide pattern of conduct, which is demonic. That's getting to the supernatural features of this criminal system that the government engaging in with malice in order to get away with murdering American citizens and then blame them for their own demise. Something like, saying that they're crazy. License plate 5LYNNURS. Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer are going to prison. And those stalkers continuously engage in what is threatening me, and I'm putting it on the internet because that's exactly the malice with which they engaged in defaming my character. While they're engaging in that criminal conduct, you're looking at what are enemies that are demon-possessed at that, and they are under the guise of what is wearing essentially a costume as a family member, stating things that's supposed to appear caring, like, do you want something to eat? While they are engaging in the elements of monitoring criminal presence in the path, criminal activity creation with the government that's stalking them in planes. It doesn't get any more psychologically harmful than that. This is what Ontario police do when the entity is stalking by helicopter while they're standing in your face, stalking by airplanes while they're stating things, hey, Erica, how you doing? And you're looking at that specific environment. That's psychological torture right there. You're going to prison for that. Okay? They're going to federal prison. That's as cold-blooded as it gets. That's as wicked and evil and malicious. That's what that is. It's malicious and impunity under the law. 8JXH131, co-conspiring murder. So is U.S. Bank. So is Gloria's Cochinas. So is the immigration attorneys at 429 Euclid Avenue. The city of Ontario. Every business, every household, every third party, every civilian is engaging in this system, and it's statewide. I'm in Ontario documenting it. This is P.O.C. License 9JUX328, 9DOU076, 9LRN766. Remember what these demons are doing? All they do, they waste millions of dollars on criminal surveillance, and that's what will also be discovered upon the prosecution of a corrupt public entity such as California, the U.S. government, because criminal monitoring is paid for by the government, by the people of the state, and then they also claim simultaneously they don't have enough resources for the homeless population, which I'm also showing you is a product of being targeted in amongst an entity that's maintaining surveillance of everyone, what everyone's getting paid, who everyone is, what everyone is doing at all times, where they target American citizens. Those who are college educated, okay, like 6YAC095, those like myself that went on to acquire what is a bar license, and then you have this ongoing economic status. It's directly pointed at what is and caused by what is this entity's pattern of conduct, and my documentation is directly proving that. And I have no reason to walk away from all the hard work that I put in to go to law school, and I certainly was not going to sacrifice it by a bunch of ignorant demons who were sworn in to practice law, who were harassing me on the job. So I had to go about conducting my own investigation because LAPD was not going to do it. So I have to prosecute LAPD, which is the state, which is the United States government that's engaging in what is the pattern of conduct that you're subject to wherever you are. And how do you know that? Because it's not the sun that's over you, because it's not the sun that's over me, that's over this same parking lot at 6 o'clock in the evening, in alignment to me. Not just anywhere, it's very specific. When I come back to this parking lot at 6, it's in alignment to my person, not anybody else. I'm not looking at it in alignment to the demon that's inside of the Chevron, or the demon that's coming out of the apartment complex, or parked at the bank, at the Euclid. It's in alignment to my person, just like it is in the morning, just like it is in the afternoon, where the entity is engaging in a very specific P.O.C, targeting me in my career, targeting me in my personal life, targeting me in every area with regard to seeking to defame your character. And they do it through the puppets that are closest to you. Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer, who are going to federal prison for targeting me with demons who deserve deportation. And every immigrant gang stalking with companies like Leonida Builders, that's exactly what they're getting. They're getting deportation. Okay? And they are begging for it, and that's exactly what they're going to get. The entity's engaging in this pattern of conduct, and it is in furtherance of murder and defamation by ruining your professional life, interfering with your personal life, while all of those aspects have been overcome by the entity. The entity that's engaging in surveillance in the United States, and that's what you need to be aware of. And you can look up in the sky and confirm it yourself. There's only one sun. And I'm documenting on behalf of the United States, I'm documenting what is stalking, surveillance that's underway in this country. Based on the exclusivity of the sun. This is a light source, speaking to what is a whole illusion. And guess what that illusion proves? That the demons are mentally ill, not the targeted individual. And so since they were so dumb to target, and since these idiots are so dumb to still come into my presence stalking, that's what Tracy Banks and Eric did. And while they're, let me be clear, while I prosecute Eric Spencer and Tracy Banks, that speak just like the gang stalking by a police department exposes everybody, exposes everyone, is Eric Spencer and Tracy Banks gang stalking. They're doing so on behalf of the state in concert with the people. Those are just demons whose name I know. The ones closest to you are targeting in concert with demons that shouldn't even know your middle initial. But they know more than that. They know what's going on in the bathroom regarding your genitalia. They know what you're doing on your devices. They know how much money is in your account. All right, license plate. Stalking with impossible light, black-faced demon. This is a psychopath, 7JAR309, P.O.C. Impossible light activity. Whether there's a veteran's plaque around the back of that license plate, whether there is a police department name on the outside of that building, whether there is a fire department logo on the outside of that vehicle, it's the same pattern of conduct. There is no respect of persons with regard to the P.O.C. And no government is going to supersede or outweigh what is the American citizen's right to protect themselves from being targeted from and being kept protected from murder and kidnapping, which is what the government's purpose is when they're engaging in what is gang stalking. It's demonic and it's malicious and it's state action. P.O.C. It's 10:41 a.m. Okay, Leonida Builders, that's engaged in what is activity creation, criminal presence in the path, activity, and light, with the government that's maintaining serial flight at the same intersection and doing so under the fake sun. Not only are these criminals that are engaged in what is public corruption, using a business as the outer guise of what is criminal surveillance in furtherance of murder, these are those that are suspect regarding or exposed vulnerable to what is deportation, as is the whole population. You're literally going to go through who can be deported, what's the basis of federal prison. You're going to do basically what is a sweep. They're liable for when you're targeting the domestic terrorists as they're being exposed in the state. There are multiple federal policies that they are going to be exposed to at the same time, including gang stalking immigrants, including corrupt businesses that are facilitating terrorism amongst immigrants like Leonida Builders Incorporated that are going to be prosecuted for it. And they don't have a constitutional right to even maintain that business. License 72478Y3, LEOBLD2. Gang stalking me with Tracy Banks. That was a couple hours ago and the fake sun's still here. And all they're doing is creating audible noise and light activity under that fake sun, which is malice by that business conspiring my murder. 6CAD311. And Leonida likes to engage in more of it, like demons who are psychopathic do. As I document, those demons engage in more and more targeting in furtherance of murder. License 9FKV760. This is P.O.C. License plate 3UDC547 7TGF122.
9FXP 807, 9SUJ 598. They're all monitoring while Leonida's engaged in what is massive amplification, which is audible noise. Demons are all around, in other words, while the entity is stalking in the sky space surrounding with light activity, that's facilitating monitoring with devices. The ongoing drilling in the ground, amplified noise, that's facilitating monitoring with devices. They're all keeping me under surveillance together. License 8SWH584, 9UYM 518. 7RYN as in Nancy 683, 8MQB725, 7TLD 884. Okay, light at 434 North Euclid Avenue, Farmers Insurance, Banyapanasaran Agency, if that's a name, that may be very well seeking to explore what is deportation regarding any gang stalking immigrants. Also, those that are maintaining businesses, this is a gang stalking business, and that would be gang stalking employees, third parties. And the entity's doing so 432 Lemon Avenue, not Euclid, excuse me, 434 Lemon Avenue. 432 Lemon Avenue, Country Cuts Barber, 430 Lemon Avenue. That's the pattern of conduct. 9JQX766. 4YDG555, 9GXZ646, 9LMK843. Over here at Country Cuts Barbershop, it's a gang stalking business. Everybody in there, in other words, is engaged in surveillance, monitoring, communication devices, and they're all together sharing in a sex offense, by the way. When I'm in the bathroom, when those demons are keeping the fake son over the OVITT Family Community Library, when I'm in the bathroom and I'm showing you a stalker, because that's what you are, by definition, where an entity is stalking, they do not stop at the walls and the doors and the ceilings of a private space. Those demons crawl in like the perverted cockroaches that they are, and they also derive pleasure. While they are engaging in that deriving of pleasure from sexual violence as an entity, I'm documenting it. And they are all sharing in that while I'm reading you their license plates, while I'm letting you know where I'm located, where I'm letting you know, in other words, the state, those of you are witnessing, the state of California is a sex offender. Okay, 8MQB725, 9EQL630, coming close while I stand still, okay? That's a sex offender monitoring my vagina and acting with impunity. Co-conspiring my murder. Still stalking, will not, and that's the same with the legal analysis for every single last means of the entity's pattern of conduct, including immigrants. 8UMH340, 8TJA082. The San Bernardino County Housing Division, HUD, it's on Lemon Avenue right here. They're a bunch of gang stalking demons. They're engaged in what is the violation of privacy as well. While they're engaged in, as a state agency, they're also engaged in surveillance. 8TJA082 is parked in the parking lot over here. And they're doing so while the fake son's just scrolling across the sky space, now moving as I move. License 96829Y3. P.O.C. It's the same with regard to the DMV. That's a California department. That's the state of California gang stalking. The DMV is telling on the entire state of California. 6CZA168, 03089T1, 6UAT275. The entire state of California is engaging in criminal surveillance, and this is not just because the government is nosy and wants to keep tabs and make sure that nobody's a terrorist. The government is a terrorist while it's engaging in this criminal surveillance system, which is monitoring. They're not just engaging what is watching you and listening to your phone calls. You are being monitored by those who are demon possessed. They're monitoring your body movement. They're monitoring your heartbeat. They're monitoring what you're doing online and what it is that you're interested in, what you want to do, what you dream of doing, what they can stop and hinder you and preclude you from doing, how they can interfere with your life when you are a targeted individual, where they are sitting around studying you. That's what monitoring is. A nefarious purpose, an inhumane means of surveillance. And those demons are engaging in that under what is a whole engineered environment. Demons indeed, a fake son. License plate 3XVD331. This is the pattern of conduct, and the fake son is under no circumstances over the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library. It's moving over me as I approach the OVITT Family Community Library from a different direction. Remember when I'm coming toward the OVITT Family Community Library and I'm coming from the Metro 102 apartments getting off of Route 61, and the fake son remains over me en route to that venue where it's not in a natural environment. It is not already there, speaking to targeting me and that venue targeting me, including, as I show, in the bathroom, where sex offenders are engaging in surveillance. absurdly psychopathic and sexually motivated, perverted. Okay, any sex offender can get on to work for the Ontario International Airport to engage in what is monitoring genitalia. All right, engaging in what is gaining intelligence on your genitalia while they're keeping you under surveillance in places like bathrooms. That's the entity, that's the level of surveillance which is exceeding what is the language of federal stalking. It is a criminal monitoring, and it's demonic, and it's inhumane. License 9 LOS 805, 9TQK545. 8HUL 388. A whole audience of demons that are sitting up watching their demise are sitting inside of the library anticipating my presence, listening to every word that I've been stating. 4EAM 203, and the stalking by the Ontario International Airport punctuates and proves that. License 8UJJ 158. Ronald Leverage, Julia Gu. I want you to hear that plane activity because it's while the fake sun is over the same position where it was this morning. Okay, remember that video of the psychopath, the sex offender, license 944? That demon is stalking while the fake sun is in the same position that it was, and that was before 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to go ahead and capture. This is video of the fake sun. I want to be clear. This is the fake sun that's speaking to 8JOZ 611 being a stalker. So are the demons going inside of the library. And this is the fake sun that's over me when I'm inside. And the third party with license plate, I believe it's 6UAU 944. Stalking with light. That's the significance. An impossible light activity filled that parking garage on the floor where the sun is above it. But this is very, very simple. First of all, the sun would still not be here. It's 10:53 a.m. Florida is 3 hours ahead of us. Okay, Central California 2 hours ahead of us, and I've got the same position of the sun that it was this morning. Not only that, I'm in entirely different locations, such as the city of Fontana, and the entity has the fake sun over me, and an entirely different location, including when I document that, I catalog that by Omnitrans that has a moving sun, not one that is over the same entrance that it is before 8 a.m. And I'm showing you what is impossible light activity that's covering me, and the demon, the third party, which represents an entity, which represents this venue, Sarah's Regis, that's going to be prosecuted for state monitoring. While the airport stalks me as I approach this venue, the airport is stalking me while I'm on the opposite side flying over this venue. The entity is sharing that pattern of conduct by stalking with light while I'm entering inside of this venue, and they're doing so with pursuant to what is a demonic P.O.C, and that is proven on its face with regard to what is a fake sun that's in the same position. It's over this building at before 8 o'clock in the morning. And none of those positions would create the light activity that I'm showing you when I'm inside of this parking garage and I'm walking through light and my shadow is appearing at a distance and my shadow's on the ceiling inside. This is speaking to the entity that's gang stalking. Everybody inside of that library keeps my vagina under surveillance on behalf of the entity that's stalking by planes and helicopters. Doing so as the Ontario Town Square, Sarah's Regis Group, Downtown Luxury Apartments, Wells Fargo, Metro 102 Apartments, the 280 North Limit Apartments, a bunch of old people that are perverts gang stalking in furtherance of murder. The city of Ontario, Paul Leon is gang stalking at the City Hall. And the fake sun is still here on this side of the building after 6 p.m. Okay, this is the entity that is engaging in the maintenance of a very highly unintelligent and unrealistic illusion where you're looking at the demon possessed in front of you. The Nephilim are no longer hiding. Okay, they engage in stalking with light activity. 8VIU 903. They do so while they're pacing, because that's the context of walking in opposite directions under a fake sun. These are demons, and they're engaging in demonic activity right in front of your face. All they do is hop in a vehicle, do the same thing. And they're psychopaths who engage in that when they're caught, acting as though they don't hear you, we don't see you. The helicopter's not happening. The plane activity, the public nuisance isn't happening. The fake sun isn't there. I don't know anything about while I'm driving by you and engineer lights flying inside of the buildings, flying all over your person. These are the demon-possessed, the mentally ill that are targeting. License 8AJJ810, a homosexual that keeps my vagina under surveillance and is obsessed with me, is stalking another woman. P.O.C. This is the city of Ontario that's going to be prosecuted for conspiring my murder with Tracy Banks and Eric Center, who you saw again stalking me today. This fake sun is still over me at this entrance at 1 o'clock in the afternoon when I'm going in subject to the same P.O.C. This entity committed kidnapping. This is the point we're getting to. They're going to federal prison for kidnapping. Okay? This is P.O.C. Alrighty, capturing that video so you can see the specific environment, shattering those illusions where the entity is engaging in surveillance, and it under any circumstances being so absurd and asinine is not the basis to defame any American citizen at all. It requires corruption, in other words, corruption which I've shown also and proven. In order to defame an American citizen, that is on its face corruption. The government is inherently corrupt, defaming American citizens, which is serving its targeting system. 7WJK407. These are demons that are barbaric and Neanderthalic and perverted,
and they're engaged in criminal conduct. 94004Z1, the Ontario International Airport is being shut down for conspiring murder and engaging in terrorism. And then engaging in more of it, while they knew that they were being exposed, and this is years of evidence of that. The Ontario International Airport is going to be removed, the Ontario Police Department. Okay, and they're doing so. These very unintelligent defendants, Eric Spencer and Tracy Banks, came and directly participated in threatening my life and acting in furtherance of murder under the fake sun this morning in concert with the state. And they do so, I want to be clear, as delusional psychopaths who cannot reconcile the statements that they've made that are unsupported based on what it is that they say, even out of their own mouths, and an investigation, it's unsupported. Also, it's unsupported based on the investigation that I've conducted. When they're targeting, and the state is targeting, and they've made directly opposite statements trying to paint me and my character as one that is under any circumstances a criminal or any person that would even, and no person is causing this, no person is causing this to happen to themselves. And as you see, no person is imagining this. Okay, the entities engaged in this P.O.C. and that level of malice is relevant to what is the intent to commit murder as an entity that is targeting and doing so with your family, doing so with your fake friends, doing so with companies like Simba. Okay, this is P.O.C. Simba is targeting license plate 9TPS 540. All right, cheesing and saying hi and speeding off. I already have Simba gang stalking me at Economy Inn. That's a sex offense while you're monitoring inside of my hotel room. And it doesn't change because you're with the City of Ontario, a sex offender that's paying for my hotel room. I documented that at the outset. The entities engaging in that conduct, and that's the malice of your mother that is asking you audible activity under the fake sun with the City of Ontario that's stalking with planes. Do you want something to eat? It's called audible activity. Guess what they're doing at gang stalking churches? They're singing hallelujah with the choir. Oh, I love Jesus Christ. Guess what that is? Not only is it blasphemous, it's audible activity. They're monitoring demons. Where church is a business in California amongst the demon possessed. And that's the substance. You're not getting to the surface, a smiling face, the name of that business that you may like. You're getting to what is state action. And the state is operating via the people of the state, the vicarious state actors. None of them are private citizens or private businesses or private property. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:59 a.m. And the entity is gang stalking. That was Simba gang stalking. As I'm reading their license plate, you heard me say hi. Cheesing from ear to ear. Gang stalking me, okay? While they're composing themselves and I'm composing myself while I investigate and prosecute. Because it doesn't matter what your facial expression is, and it doesn't matter if I compose myself while you're gang stalking me. The entity wants you to freak out and make ongoing allegations so that they can falsely, which isn't gonna work with regard to my body of evidence. But nonetheless, I'm advocating. The entity wants you to make unsubstantiated allegations where you don't have evidence so then they can, as a corrupt entity, will never change the fact that that court is corrupt. That then make allegations about your character so that they can kidnap you, so that they can steal from you. Because that's what the entity is doing when they're stealing your money and property and inheritances. When you're not even a part of those court hearings, then going back and stating, oh, well, we did it because she's mentally ill. That's not some retroactive court action. That doesn't exist. It remains illegitimate, and Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer are going to prison. That's the bottom line. And so are the gang stalkers of the Ontario Police Department kidnapping. The gang stalkers of the Ontario International Airport, they're monitoring me together, engaged in those kidnappings. Just like there's this ongoing gratuitous amount of plane activity, it's going to be relevant to federal prison. It's going to be relevant to changing federal legislation. It's going to be relevant to the prosecution of the people of the state. And guess where they're going? They're going to prison as they're engaging in kidnapping with the entity. This is P.O.C. It is 11 a.m. This is video of the fake. To be clear, this is the fake son that's speaking to 8JOZ 611 being a stalker. So are the demons going inside of the library. And this is the fake son that's over me when I'm inside. And the third party with license plate, I believe it's 6UAU 944. Stalking with light. That's the significance. And impossible light activity filled that parking garage on the floor where the sun is above it. But this is very, very simple. First of all, the sun would still not be here. It's 10:53 a.m. Florida is 3 hours ahead of us. Okay, Central California 2 hours ahead of us, and I've got the same position of the sun that it was this morning. Not only that, I'm in entirely different locations, such as the city of Fontana, and the entity has the fake sun over me in a entirely different location, including when I document that, I catalog that by Omnitrans that has a moving sun, not one that is over the same entrance that it is before 8 a.m. And I'm showing you what is impossible light activity that's covering monitoring me, and the demon, the third party, which represents an entity, which represents this venue, Sarah's Regis, that's going to be prosecuted for state monitoring. While the airport stalks me as I approach this venue, the airport is stalking me while I'm on the opposite side, flying over this venue. The entity is sharing that pattern of conduct by stalking with light while I'm entering inside of this venue, and they're doing so with pursuant to what is a demonic P.O.C, and that is proven on its face with regard to what is a fake sun that's in the same position. It's over this building at before 8 o'clock in the morning. And none of those positions would create the light activity that I'm showing you when I'm inside of this parking garage and I'm walking through light and my shadow is appearing at a distance and my shadow's on the ceiling inside. This is speaking to the entity that's gang stalking. Everybody inside of that library keeps my vagina under surveillance on behalf of the entity that's stalking by planes and helicopters. Doing so as the Ontario Town Square, Sarah's Regis Group, Downtown Luxury Apartments, Wells Fargo, Metro 102 Apartments, the 280 North Limit Apartments, a bunch of old people that are perverts gang stalking in furtherance of murder. The city of Ontario, the Paul Leon is gang stalking at the city hall. And the fake sun is still here on this side of the building after 6 p.m. Okay, this is the entity that is engaged in the maintenance of a very highly unintelligent and unrealistic illusion where you're looking at the demon possessed in plain view. The Nephilim are no longer hiding. Okay, they engage in stalking with light activity. 8VIU 903. They do so while they're pacing because that's the context of walking in opposite directions under a fake sun. These are demons and they're engaging in demonic activity right in front of your face. All they do is hop in a vehicle, do the same thing. And they're psychopaths who engage in that when they're caught, acting as though they don't hear you, we don't see you. The helicopter's not happening. The plane activity, the public nuisance isn't happening. The fake sun isn't there. I don't know anything about while I'm driving by you and engineer lights flying inside of the buildings, flying all over your person. These are the demon possessed, the mentally ill that are targeting. License 8AJJ810, a homosexual that keeps my vagina under surveillance and is obsessed with me, is stalking another woman. P.O.C. This is the city of Ontario that's going to be prosecuted for conspiring my murder with Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer, who you saw gang stalking me today. This fake sun is still over me at this entrance at 1 o'clock in the afternoon when I'm going in subject to the same P.O.C. This entity committed kidnapping. This is the point we're getting to. They're going to federal prison for kidnapping. Okay? This is P.O.C. Oopsie. What time do you guys close today?
Today is Wednesday, 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock? Yeah, 9 o'clock. Okay. It is currently 11 a.m. and this is a gang stalker at the desk where the computer stations are, computer stations 1 through 12. And he is stalking. Okay, the entity has impossible light moving, shooting across the ceiling. This is another gang stalker pushing a book cart. These are demons, malicious ones that now have the fake sun over the library where it wasn't before, but it is when I'm there at 10 o'clock in the morning, okay? This is the entity that's engaging in what is targeting inside of a facilitating venue, doing so in furtherance of murder, doing so having committed kidnapping to obstruct justice regarding their criminal engagement in targeting inside of a facility of the city of Ontario. All right, the entity is engaging in this with knowledge of who I am and monitoring on devices. So they are also psychopaths who are maintaining surveillance of evidence and then outwardly acting like it's not happening. That's getting to malice as well. This third party that you hear, actually, this is a state actor. As you work for the city of Ontario, you are a state actor. As the entity is engaging in answering my question, what time is it? Oh, we close at 9. He's monitoring. Impulsive light activity is vibrant, shooting up across onto the ceiling, just like you saw inside of the parking garage on video. So you can look at that with regard to the truth of everything that I'm describing. That supernatural feature regarding everything that you're saying and doing is relevant to criminal activity. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The very disturbed demon Talia, that's a state actor, gang stalking me by walking in the path that she is toward the circulation desk because she is stalking. She is stalking in the place of work. And that's speaking to those that are just on the first level all together anticipating on keeping my vagina under surveillance in the bathroom. These are sex offenders that together engage in targeting as one. All races, by the way, all ages. Alrighty, it is currently 11:04 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, it is 11:18 a.m. The sex offenders who are employed at the OVITT Family Community Library are together sharing in what is gang stalking my vagina. In other words, monitoring it together as a gang of sex offenders. And these are all state actors. It's in the name of the city of Ontario, the state of California. That is a sex offender. The entity is maintaining ongoing impact, the sounds of impact and ongoing noise. Demons who are gang stalking, psychopathic, and perverted, demented. In a bathroom, in order to cross paths, so as I'm outside of the bathroom walking toward the women's restroom where you're keeping me under surveillance, also knowing what I'm doing inside as I'm walking by, and you walk out with regard to crossing path monitoring. The entity is maintaining ongoing noise creation, which is relevant to the sex offenders. I'll show you their images. They're at the circulation desk, keeping my vagina under surveillance, and they want you to only look at them as being librarians, being those that are working for the City of Ontario, collecting a paycheck from the municipality. Where they're engaged in, they are vagina monitoring psychopaths, and they're violent sex offenders, and that's not hyperbole. Okay, they are the ones that are embarrassed about this being exposed about them, but it's the truth about what they are and what they're doing. You are what you do. If you're not engaging in surveillance in the bathroom, then you're not a sex offender. If you're not stalking with amplified noise and engineer light in and around the bathroom, then you're not a demon. But they are all of the above. And they're going to be subject to federal prison because these sex offenders committed kidnapping with the demons of the Ontario police. And by the way, having committed that act against me and my rights, they're still engaged in what is, having made those malicious allegations, committed that those series of federal offenses, kidnapping, and they're still engaging in terrorism to date. That's also relevant to sentencing. When kidnappers that are engaged in terrorism are going to prison, they're actually going to be sitting in a court and subject to what is a ruling regarding how long you're going to prison. And everything that I'm documenting up until that time is relevant to how such sentencing is going to be executed, how that's going to be handled, the type of policies that are considered when you're sentencing sexually violent terrorists. Okay, this is P.O.C, it's bathroom monitoring, and I will remind you about the faces of those sex offenders keeping my vagina under surveillance, going to that extent that doesn't even make any sense regarding what is a failed sacrifice in the first place. Okay, this is P.O.C, it's 11:20 a.m.
Thank you. That's the United States Postal Service. Coming into the bathroom where it's public information that my panties are down, my legs are spread open, exposed. She's talking out loud as though she's on a communication device, but you can see her hands are not occupied. And she is running out the door as I come out of the stall in order to capture evidence of a homosexual predator engaging in what is presence on behalf of an entity and what is engineer light to engage in what is sexual violence of a retaliatory nature. I just want you to see these shadows here. This is indeed a stalker. That's a demon. That is also a homosexual predator obsessed with my vagina as another female and engaging in criminal conduct on behalf of the government. That's engaged in without any warrant, probable cause, or legitimate interest surveillance in the bathroom. And she was wearing a United States Postal Service uniform. Every employee inside of the library, including Sean Thrasher, is engaged in monitoring my vagina. And that's whether Sean Thrasher is off today or not. He's going to prison. This is ongoing sexual violence that is committed while they're keeping the evidence of their gang stalking under surveillance. That's why they're removing the evidence from my folders as I publish it online, so they know that they're being documented while they're engaging in such as this sexual violence. One, the entity is engaged in what is keeping your use of your genitalia and your use of a private space under surveillance. This is bathroom monitoring under the fake sun. You see that crisscross right there? Light? That's engineer light. That's impossible light activity. Okay, this is P.O.C. This is the sexual violence that is underway by every employee and every demon that's under the fake sun that's over this library that it was this morning as I captured it at 7:56 a.m., 7:57 a.m. And again, after 10 a.m. as I come back to the same entrance, as you've seen, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon when I enter and it opens on Sunday. After 6 p.m., it's outside of the same entrance door. That's where the United States Postal Service, that's an aspect of the federal government that derives pleasure from coming in and monitoring my vagina. Okay, that's what's going on when they're coming into the engineered light, which is not caused by ordinary artificial light. This is a demonic environment where surveillance is underway. In OVITT Family Community Library, the employees are going to federal prison for kidnapping. This is P.O.C. This is sexual violence inherent to gang stalking, which is committed in furtherance of murder. That is monitoring my vagina, engaging in stalking and psychological torture in private spaces, that which precedes murder that's committed intentionally and maliciously by an entity. P.O.C. This is my shadow, my head, and this is light. Impossible. Remember, the entity, as I'm taking pictures of the fake sun that's covered up in the sky space, which is evidence of malice, not the evidence of the absence of a fake sun, because I've already gotten it after after into the afternoon, the sunset. So that's the entity that's monitoring evidence and then covers it up, and there it is shining still, and they're all stalking.
Computer number 11.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is a sex offense. You're going to prosecute. Crossing path. Monitoring. Crossing path. This is all engineer light. This is crossing path. This is open gang stalking. Monitoring genitalia in the bathroom. Open criminal surveillance. This is the Ontario Police vicariously present. Impossible, ridiculous light activity. Demonic, and it's a demon right in front of your face. P.O.C. That's a demon that works in the venue. Open surveillance. This is public corruption. Her shadow's appearing over there. She's pacing. That's a demon. That's mental illness. Let me show you that. You see that?
Hello, Erika. How are you?
That's audible activity. This is my shadow. This is impossible light. It's also impossible because the sun is over the entrance, as I documented upon my arrival. That was at 10:59 a.m. This is gang stalking committed in furtherance of murder. This is 215 E.C. Street. The entity has the fake sun where Jason Reed is exposed as engaging in criminal surveillance with the Montclair Police Department, gang stalking me as I'm documenting it at 4490 Holt Boulevard in Montclair, California, where the sun's not over that Starbucks, and also remaining at the side of the entry of the same venue. This is P.O.C. Like I stated, this entity engages in the contribution to the delinquency of minors that are gang stalking, engaged in criminal activity creation. This is evidence. This is all criminal conduct. This is evidence, and that's a fake sun. That is not going to be over the roof of the Starbucks in Montclair, California at any point in the day, and that's a demon that's tracking my steps. They're stalking. The entire city of Ontario is 9COL 665, I believe. That's P.O.C., and they're monitoring my vagina while the United States Postal Service comes in on behalf of an entity gang stalking in a bathroom. P.O.C. This is the entity flying over the parking lot. This is license 5EZM554, stalking with the Ontario International Airport that's flying over the downtown Ontario luxury apartments, where there's no takeoffs over here. Stalking with 9EKD000 upon my exit of the OVITT Family Community Library. A sex offender aiming light on me. This is a demon stalking in the path with light. Doing so while they're monitoring my vagina together as an entity, just like I showed you the United States Postal Service. Went downstairs to the first floor bathroom inside of what is a restroom, a private space with engineer light. Just like this is engineer light with perpendicular shadows. And that's the Ronald Loveridge, Julia Gu, and what is Jim Bowman, Kurt Hagman, and Alan D. Wapner, who are going to be prosecuted as terrorists while they're conspiring my murder gang, stalking me using commercial airline planes. This is the entity that's engaging in maintaining elevation west of this location over the Stater Brothers parking lot. They're not taking off. And there's no takeoff from the airport over this parking lot, over University of Laverne, license 8YJS529. This is what they're doing in Engineer Light when the fake sun is over me at the same intersection. License plate 7SGT294. These are co-conspirators of murder. And this is why you're going to federal prison for kidnapping and gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department as well, which they're all engaging in together, while the City of Ontario maintains aerial surveillance. This is P.O.C. 7YLU513. They're crossing path and monitoring with communication devices and engineer light with the government that is co-conspirator with the people, engaging in that pattern of conduct. I documented these license plates. They're going on the record. They're sharing in that conspiracy to murder, engaging in surveillance inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, ongoing confirmation while the government is stalking in a specific environment, maintaining an ongoing pattern of conduct, stalking in commercial planes and helicopters is what that is. That's the to-be disbanded terrorists, sex offenders that are monitoring my vagina with the United States Postal Service going into the restroom to keep me under surveillance. 865. All right, this is the pattern of conduct of the mentally ill. 8PJX528, mentally ill, license plate. This is mental illness, license plate. 9LDX938, mentally ill.
Co-conspiring, psychopathic mental illness, license plate 8 PMP 828, and the mental illness is shared by the demon that's stalking in a helicopter. In doing so, at what is 8:36 p.m., the government's going to produce, because that demon's going to prison, license 9MLV 953, and this is the conspiracy to murder upon psychological torture. I documented these demons in the parking lot. License plate 9VDS 759. The people of the state are going to prison for this very conduct, I want to be clear. 70660Y3. This is relevant to criminal surveillance, psychological torture, harassment, and terrorism upon what is an ongoing investigation. And they did so with the police. This is threatening your life. This is P.O.C. 9GHM095. This is what demons do when American citizens are living in a bubble. They're under surveillance and they come up missing. P.O.C. Flying over the top of my head. This is P.O.C. All right, clearly the focal point of the Ontario International Airport and the Ontario Police Department. This is the same City of Ontario stalking. Doing so pursuant to what is leaving the corner, and they're engaged in what is crossing path. Light activity is underway by the people who are pacing all around. Doing so by plane. That's what the Ontario International Airport, the criminal purpose of that Ontario board and Ontario executive team, who are being removed altogether. The airport's being removed, and the police department that you see engaging in surveillance and furtherance of murder at that is being removed. And this is the City of Ontario's criminal pattern of conduct. Upland stalking with planes. Pomona stalking with planes. Fontana stalking with planes. The entities engaging in this POC flying directly over me where I'm going. Okay, that's the pattern that the entity that does with commercial planes and helicopter as well. ARCO was gang stalking just like they were this morning, and the fake son did not leave what is OVITT Family Community Library. This is a 3-minute walk. Okay, that's because it's the City of Ontario that is stalking. So is Starbucks. This is light activity. Starbucks is monitoring all day long while I'm at the OVITT Family Community Library. This is the bigger picture, okay? I document Starbucks proving that because the fake son remains at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue from sunrise till sunset. That's on the record. That's not forgotten when it's remaining visible through the doors of the OVITT Family Community Library on the opposite side of a parking lot across the street where no natural environment would include Florida. And what these demons are doing in the specific environment. And the kidnappers at OVITT Family Community Library, the kidnappers at Starbucks, they're going to prison. Gang stalking just like they are now. And this is evidence against the entity that's engaging in targeting. And it includes businesses like ARCO, CHEVRON, Starbucks, Saris Regis Group, whose apartment complex is a crime scene. And everybody lives there, and everybody that works there, and everybody that is traveling there is maintaining criminal surveillance with the government that you see sharing in that criminal pattern of conduct. And it's in furtherance of murder. That's why the police are being disbanded. That's why the airport's being removed. That's why the entities engaged in kidnapping. None of these are arrests pursuant to, first of all, no criminal activity on my part, but second of all, no authority under the law. These are kidnappings while the entities engaged in what is obstruction of justice while you're stalking. This is POC. My shadow, 2 in front of me, that's a stalker and that's a demon, and that's the City of Ontario stalking you in the path. License plate 8KZA429, POC. The government is targeting while flying over the top of my head. And they're all targeting being present in the path. And there's no legal excuse or defense, nor is there any persuasive illusion when they're gang stalking where they work and live. This is the statewide POC. That's the significance of showing you a fake son where Eric Spencer and Tracy Banks today engaged in that pattern of conduct. Again, stalking. Yes, your family members are stalking with the state when you are being monitored. This is POC. All right, ARCO, gang stalking with the City of Ontario, stalking by commercial plane, the Ontario International Airport, the Ontario Police, and the City of Ontario also stalking by flying over my head in a smaller plane as I'm on Lemon Avenue. 7HWX195, 9BXT996 is a gang stalker at gas stall number 1, and license plate gang stalking via gas stall number 7, 9TAK688. This is POC. Chevron is gang stalking. A German is the name of the third party, very likely subject to deportation. Gang stalking with the people of the state, doing so by maintaining criminal presence in the path, gang stalking as a patron at that facilitating venue. And this is currently 844. The surveillance cameras, the business records, the ongoing transactions by the people, all of this is going to be used to prosecute. So I'm documenting, but this is not the only basis of prosecuting every single last terrorist that's engaged in targeting on behalf of a whole entity. And they're doing so on behalf of the same police that just used helicopter stalking outside of the library, the same entity that just used commercial plane stalking outside of the library upon my exit. And I want to be clear, when I go in and out of the OVITT Family Community Library, that's speaking to surveillance that they're engaging in inside of the library, including in the bathroom. And they're engaging in what is ongoing terrorism while it's being published on the internet in real time, speaking to, first of all, impunity, and second of all, what is an impermissible threat posed by the city of Ontario, who is engaged in criminal activity for which they're going to federal prison, putting into context what they're doing, making malicious assertions, seeking to engage in kidnapping with the Ontario Police Department. And this is relevant for every day, every iteration of the criminal conduct that they're maintaining as a corrupt government. OVITT Family Community Library is no such library. It's a crime scene. And Mickey and all the other demons that are gang stalking today on the job, they're doing so pursuant to what is murder, conspiracy to commit murder. Doing so under a fake sun that's shining into the depths of that library and then foolish enough to be documented. This is a federal case that I'm going to prosecute them by name and by establishment, and you're going to prison in the United States for engaging in kidnapping as a terrorist, targeting with the government. They do not understand that, but they will when they are behind bars. It is, and that's not a joke. I'm not just calling out stuff. That's not going to happen. They're going to federal prison. It is currently 8:45 p.m. Everybody engaging in kidnapping, including the demons wearing Ontario police uniforms, the demons that are stalking in helicopters. They're going to be, first of all, stripped of those uniforms. They're done with law enforcement. They're going to produce the names to the federal government. Who is doing what when they're doing it, because they're going to prison. They're going to federal prison. All right, this is mental illness, like I stated. You're witnessing mental illness. That mental illness is psychopathic, acting of their own volition, very delusional, very obsessive. This is the demon-possessed population that you need to know is around, is present, and is engaged in secretly murdering people on a regular basis. Okay, this is P.O.C. It's 8:46 p.m.